it looks like Jen Rosati and Don Staley and all those folks that Cheryl Reeve, who had a hand in Caitlin Clark not making Team USA last year in the Olympics, the actual committee.
So, when you choose to leave out arguably the most marketable woman to ever play basketball from your Olympic roster, things tend to blow up in your face. And boy, did they ever.
I'd rather watch paint dry. I'd rather watch dirt just be moved around. Because Caitlin Clark's not on the team. If she's there, it's appointment TV. You people, whoever did this, honestly, hey, take your brain, put it in a museum, and study it for how dumb you are.
After controversially benching Caitlin Clark during the Olympic selection process, USA Basketball just announced they're tearing down their entire system and rebuilding from scratch. Heads are rolling, changes are happening, and with Sue Bird now calling the shots, Clark's path to the 2028 Los Angeles Games looks completely different. The fallout from this decision caught everyone off guard. So, what really went down between Cheryl Reeve and the Olympic brass? Drop CC 2028 in the comments if you want to see Caitlin on that Olympic stage.
It used to be a committee. Dawn Staley, Jennifer Rizzuti, and all of the hooligans associated in picking the USA basketball team. All of the hooligans, Cheryl Reeves included, so full of themselves, so bound by tribalism that they just couldn't look past their own nose. And at the end of the day, look at them now. Look at them now. The same fate as Cheryl Swoops calling those Dallas Wings games. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
The Olympic Committee, as expected, threw out every excuse imaginable for why Clark didn't make the cut. At least, that's the story they tried to sell. Jen Rosati, the selection committee chair, insisted the decision came down to pure basketball factors. International experience mattered, time in the system mattered, and things like popularity and star power were supposedly irrelevant.
Remember during the Olympics, a person from either South Korea or Japan, holding up the Caitlin Clark sign? Team USA looked at that gentleman and said, $sign, $sign. These people over there in Japan, these people over there in South Korea, they're not paying for Team USA to come and watch hoop, but they'll pay for Caitlin Clark. In fact, they are so strong about voicing that they'll pay for Caitlin Clark, they'll come to the Olympic game holding a sign that says,
You guys remember this? Hold on, run that back. You're telling me they ignored the player who completely rewrote the record books in women's basketball, the same athlete who transformed the sport in less than 12 months? That's their official story. And don't even start with the international experience angle. Clark wasn't some rookie. She suited up for Team USA at the FIBA Under-19 tournament, brought home gold twice, and even earned tournament MVP honors.
Decision on his part. Caitlin Clark is PR. That's where, how can they leave her? Once again, everybody's, out to get her. They don't want to grow the...
So, let's talk about what Caitlin Clark actually did when she hit the WNBA. Ticket prices absolutely shot through the roof every time the Fever rolled into town. Arenas that were normally half empty were suddenly packed to capacity. That opening night matchup between Indiana and Connecticut, it garnered more eyeballs than any NBA playoff game that very same week. These were truly historic numbers for the WNBA. Clark's jersey sales destroyed the competition. It wasn't even close. And during that rookie campaign, she obliterated 62 different records.
You got to remember, the National Basketball Association, the NBA, the commissioner, Adam Silver, he came right out and said, I wouldn't have left Caitlin Clark off that team. And he even said, and several others said, women's basketball really dropped the ball on an opportunity to grow the women's game by leaving Caitlin Clark off that team.
We're not talking about small improvements here. The entire landscape of women's basketball dramatically shifted because of her. And somehow, the Olympic Committee decided this player wasn't valuable enough for their roster. The backlash hit immediately and hard. Basketball insiders tore apart the weak justification. Stephen A. Smith didn't mince words. calling it a deliberate sabotage of women's basketball's momentum at the worst possible time. Lisa Leslie, who won 4 Olympic golds herself, labeled it the biggest marketing disaster in sports history.
This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision?
You know what this really showed? An outdated system run by people genuinely scared of change. The committee operated like it was still 204, when women's basketball was begging for any mainstream attention. They couldn't grasp that Clark represented more than just talent. She was a once-in-a-generation opportunity to elevate the entire sport on the world's biggest stage. Think about the Olympics for a second. Casual fans tune in for sports they'd normally scroll past. Stars are born during those 2 weeks. And the committee deliberately left out the one player who'd proven she could pull those exact viewers.
Dummies. For the first time, like in the history of basketball, you have arguably a player who is the most popular player in the world. Like you could argue right now, Caitlin Clark is the most talked about, discussed, most popular, most puts asses in the seats, single basketball player in the world. You could argue that. Yeah, you can say maybe LeBron, Luka, whatever you want, but you can argue it. And you leave her off the Olympics team, it's not only a showcase for her, it's for the sport and the other WNBA players who are on this team. How dumb, how brain dead, how idiotic.
What were the people running this thing thinking? This wasn't just about Clark missing her moment. It was about women's basketball losing crucial visibility. The committee's stubborn insistence on prioritizing experience over star power created such a public relations nightmare that something simply had to break. The anger couldn't be ignored. The mistake was too obvious to defend. But even with all the public outrage, the Olympic snub turned out to be just the surface-level problem. Behind the scenes, USA Basketball's entire operation showed deep cracks that could no longer be hidden. The Clark decision wasn't some isolated mistake. It was the natural result of a broken system about to collapse on its builders.
I think if Caitlin Clark would have played, it would have been the biggest ratings of the Olympic Games last year. All right? And yeah, I don't know what it could have done to women's basketball.
Cheryl Reeve wants everyone to believe she had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark being left off that Olympic roster. By her own account, she barely had any input on team selection, and even claimed she took tons of heat for USA Basketball's choices. Nice try, coach, but the reality tells a completely different story.
But as a coach of the home team, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side. I mean,
I'll get 2 shits.
One. Not even one shit.
Any second guessing here about not having Clark on the Olympic team?
Her exact words were, from me, no. But even if Reeve wasn't the only decision maker, she clearly influenced the selection process. Jen Rosati, the committee chair, admitted they built a team specifically around Reeve's coaching philosophy. So when Reeve says she had no power, she actually means she didn't want to own the backlash when fans questioned why the most impactful player in women's basketball was watching from her couch.
Along with nearly losing the gold medal game to France, the U.S. women's team was caught up in controversy leading up to the Olympics because Caitlin Clark was not on the team. The argument not to take Clark, a rising global megastar in the sport, was in part because she had not participated in many Team USA offseason functions, and also because there were women with more national team experience who had earned the right to play at the Olympics.
Look at who ended up on that final roster. Veterans who fit Reeve's template, defensive-minded players, prioritizing stopping opponents over offensive firepower. Every choice the committee made aligned perfectly with Reeve's Minnesota Lynx philosophy, and it nearly cost Team USA the gold medal.
He is good enough to be on the team. Based on how Caitlin Clark was playing at the time, she was worthy of being on this team. This is Caitlin Clark up against Jewel Lloyd, Diana Taurasi, and Kelsey Plum. Yeah. It's tough when you see it in front of you, right? Chelsea Gray's not even on this graph. Why isn't Chelsea Gray on this graph, you may ask? Great question. Chelsea Gray started the beginning of the season injured.
Remember that nail-biter against France? Team USA barely escaped with a 67-66 victory in a game they truly should have controlled. Throughout the tournament, the team visibly struggled to generate consistent offense when it mattered most. Ball movement stagnated, and there wasn't enough perimeter shooting. Every time the defense collapsed on Aja Wilson or Brianna Stewart inside, the offense ground to a halt. A player like Clark could have been the crucial difference in those moments. The team often looked sluggish and predictable, missing the spark and creativity that defined Clark's game.
Caitlin Clark, based on skill, based on how she was performing, deserved to be on that team. Based on Chelsea Gray coming off hobbled from injury, you don't even know the status of her as a player. Caitlin Clark should have been on that team. She was easily one of the best players from Jump Street. Her struggling. Oh my God, she's struggling with 16 points, 6 assists, and 5.5 rebounds. Oh my God, the struggle. She's shooting 39%. Yeah, Jewel Lloyd always shoots like trash. Kelsey, you got... Come on, guys.
Clark herself delivered the most damning evidence against Reeve's decision. Before the Olympic snub, Clark averaged 15.6 points and 6.3 assists per game. But after getting cut from the team, those numbers exploded to nearly 23 points and 9.5 assists. She even shattered the WNBA rookie record with 19 assists in a single game. Clark didn't just improve, she absolutely detonated, making the committee's assessment of her readiness look utterly ridiculous.
Look at this. These are the top 3 scorers in the WNBA since the women brought home gold in the Olympics a few weeks ago. 2 of the members are of the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell.
Reeve's handling of the aftermath only made things worse. When a reporter asked about Clark's Olympic prospects after a game, Reeve snapped back aggressively, "Why the hell would I answer a national team question?" She was clearly distancing herself from her Olympic role, hiding behind her Minnesota Lynx duties. When questions got uncomfortable, she retreated. This went beyond one bad decision. It was about leadership unwilling to adapt to where women's basketball was heading. Team USA brought home gold, but they nearly lost it.
Much conversation about women's basketball. The run you at South Carolina had to the national championship, a perfect season. Obviously, Caitlin Clark. And there was so much conversation on, should Caitlin be on the U.S. women's national team? You were part of the selection group. Mm-hmm. Give me your read on that now that we've got a little bit of time and we can get into some clear air to see what happened.
Right. When, as a committee member, you're charged with putting together best team of players, the best talent. Caitlin is just a rookie in the WNBA. Wasn't playing bad, but wasn't playing like she's playing now. If we had to do it all over again, the way that she's playing, she would be in really high consideration of making it.
Reeve's questionable personnel decisions, the team's shaky performance, and her defensive attitude toward legitimate criticism combined to create the perfect storm. Change simply had to happen. USA Basketball couldn't sustain a system that valued tradition over talent and crucial marketability.
She is playing head and shoulders above a lot of people, shooting the ball extremely well. I mean, she is an elite passer.
If we were playing how she's playing now, she would be in high consideration. They can't even admit to themselves. If she was playing how she's playing now, yeah, she would definitely be on the team. We could have had our cake and eat it too. We got Kobe and LeBron on the same team. We did.
The Clark situation exposed more than just flaws in the selection process. It revealed fundamental problems with how USA Basketball approached team building entirely. The consequences went beyond swapping coaches or adding players. It demanded a complete reimagining of what Olympic basketball could truly be.
Sue Bird is expected to be announced as the managing director for the USA women's national team for the 2028 Olympic cycle. She will take on what is known as the Grant Hill role, selecting player rosters and coaching staff. And for those of you who aren't too familiar with the WNBA or the women's side of Team USA, and Grant Hill's a little bit new in this role, Jerry Colangelo role. Jerry Colangelo, the godfather of Team USA basketball from 2005 to 2021, picking, I want him, I want him, I want him, I want him.
USA Basketball. So, USA Basketball just completely detonated their entire women's Olympic program. Sue Bird, a 5-time Olympic gold medalist, 4-time WNBA champion, and undisputed legend of the game, is now the managing director of the women's national team. This isn't just a new face at the top, it's a complete redesign of how Olympic teams will be built going forward.
USA Basketball will announce a major shift in the structuring on Thursday when Sue Bird is announced as the managing director for the USA Women's National Team 2028 cycle. Her hiring is a departure from a long-standing structure of using a committee to select players and coaches for national team rosters and comes on the heels of a very close call for the USA women.
The announcement, first reported by The Athletic and confirmed by multiple sources, represents a massive power shift. Bird won't be part of some vague committee making suggestions. She'll have direct control over player selection and coaching decisions. Sound familiar? It should. This is exactly how Grant Hill has been running the men's program.
As financial opportunities for women grow in the sport and in marketing, USA Basketball wanted to make sure it was doing everything possible to ensure the allure of playing major international events remained strong, and a phone call from Bird is going to go a long way with players, one source close to the USA program said.
So, think about what this truly means. No more mysterious, behind-closed-doors committee decisions. No more coaches taking bullets for choices they supposedly didn't make. The buck stops with Bird. If she wants Caitlin Clark on the team, Clark's on the team. End of discussion. Beyond her basketball IQ, Bird's business sense makes her perfect for this role. She understands what sells tickets and grows the game. Bird has openly acknowledged Clark's unique appeal, saying, Caitlin, especially with her deep threes, finally gave women's basketball an answer to dunking. She also recognized that Clark broke through negative perceptions that held women's basketball back.
Sue Bird is taking over as managing director of USA Basketball. And this is done in a model of the men's way of doing it. Okay? She will have the say over who makes this team.
That's more than just praise. It's an acknowledgement of Clark's undeniable marketability. Bird gets it. She knows star power matters just as much as traditional basketball credentials. Yes, winning gold medals is clearly the primary goal, but the Olympics are about more than that. They're about exposing the sport to millions of casual viewers who might become lifelong fans.
Sue Bird's been a vocal supporter of Caitlin Clark. The fact is, while everybody was coming down on Caitlin Clark last year, so many, she was one that was trying to prop her up and was an advocate for Caitlin. I do not think you will. Caitlin Clark will not make that team next time. I can tell you that.
Plus, Bird has credibility with current players that nobody else can match. She either played with or against nearly every major star in the league. She knows who meshes well, who elevates teammates, and who crumbles under pressure. This knowledge is invaluable when building an Olympic roster. The timing of this announcement isn't accidental. USA Basketball watched the Clark controversy unfold and saw the damage to the program's reputation. They witnessed a gold medal game that came uncomfortably close. They realized that maintaining the old structure was unsustainable as women's basketball entered its golden age of popularity.
Bird's new role is a major change for USA Basketball. Previously, the women's team and coaching staff was named by committee. Now, that is Sue Bird's job.
Wow. Sue Bird's appointment signals a clear break from tradition and politics. It means USA Basketball is finally ready to embrace both elite talent and marketability. When building teams, no more outdated thinking, no more mysterious committee rulings, just basketball decisions made by someone who understands both the game and the business. So what does this restructuring specifically mean for Caitlin Clark? Her Olympic chance has just improved dramatically, and the story of her potential redemption is only beginning.